Lisa Parenteau, and I'd like to welcome you to Lifting Others as We Rise, the podcast where we dive into the world of real estate and the power of positive thinking. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring conversations with real estate professionals and other thought leaders who have really harnessed the power of lifting others up along their journeys. So let's get ready to elevate our mindset. Lifting Others as We Rise podcast, where inspiration is a catalyst for action. Let's go. Welcome to Lifting Others as We Rise podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Parenteau, realtor, team leader, CRS, broker associate, luxury realtor actually here on beautiful Cape Cod, but most importantly, proud grandma to my three granddaughters, Eloise Ann, who started kindergarten today, a baby Hazel, and baby Navy Grace. And so that is my biggest claim to fame at the moment. But I am here on beautiful Cape Cod in Massachusetts. And each episode of Lifting Others as We Rise, my mission really is to uncover some of the inspiration, pivotal moments, those things that have happened in someone's life that have really changed kind of the trajectory of their life and career and the inspiration that they kind of drew from that. And I know that you will also gain some kind of energy and be energized by these conversations. I do connect with realtors across the country, typically top performing luxury realtors, but their stories are so different and so fascinating. And I cannot wait to hear about Jenni Sandmeyer's journey, who's our very special guest today. Welcome, welcome, Jenni.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
So I have a little canned bio, which I will share with our listeners, and then please feel free to fill in the blanks or color in some more of the beautiful details, I'm sure. You're a managing broker and you're in Seattle in the Northwest. And you are, it says that you offer clients not just the real estate expertise, but also some heartfelt guidance through major life transitions.
Correct.
Your career began, in media and marketing at King 5 Television before launching your own digital marketing company and ultimately transitioning into real estate. So I think that's interesting. I'd like to hear more about a marketing company and then transitioning into real estate, where you apply your strong negotiation skills and your deep local knowledge. Originally from Oregon, Jenni moved to Seattle in 1999 and now leads a team of professionals to make every transaction seamless and stress-free. Don't we all try to do that in every possible way? And your passions, which maybe you'll touch on as well, are photography, your family, and I don't know about you, but our first game is Sunday, football, and they shine through the way that you connect with clients and build long-lasting relationships. So first of all, what's your team?
Oh, Seahawks for sure.
All right. Well,
and Huskies. We are definitely a big Husky fan in our house as well. So
all right. So your first game is Sunday. When's your first game?
Sunday.
All right. So we're
Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
49ers. So we'll see.
Yeah, and we're playing the Raiders. I have a very good friend who's a Raiders fan, and they rarely play each other. So, yeah, I'm New England Patriots. We came up when we just thought we won everything. 2 minutes left in the game. My God, it's time to go get something to eat. You had all the time in the world, and you won everything. And then it wasn't like that anymore.
You can't step away. And in my house, we don't, because we have probably 7 TVs going at all times. So my husband's a big sports fan, my son. So our weekends are pretty much dominated.
Well, and it's all
starting now.
Very exciting. Yeah, me too. I can't wait. Football aside, we will just wish each other well on Sunday, for sure. So tell me a little bit about, television, how exciting, what that was like as a career. And then you said, hey, let me go do something that there's no guaranteed paid. I'll be with total strangers in empty houses. It's fabulous. Tell me what was that like easy transition from one to the other, and what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, well, I started, like you said, in television. Originally, I had thought I wanted to be on the air. And I was like, well, I'm going to get my foot in the door. I'm going to get a little sales position and I'm going to go be a reporter. That's what I thought I'd be, of course, like many people. So So I started as a sales assistant. I moved to the desk on Northwest Cable News, which is no longer exists, and worked the desk for a little while and quickly realized that early mornings and pagers back then were probably not in my future. And so I was like, I feel like I could go to Spokane and be, a reporter and make probably $10 an hour, or I could go back to sales and probably make some more money. So that's what I did for 10 years. And it was a fabulous career. And it really taught me so many of those skills that are so important. Talking to other people, learning about people's lives, learning all the sales skills, pipeline, sales process, all of those things that are really important. And then I had my two babies, and that was just not going to be feasible anymore. So I stayed home with them for about a year. They're really close in age. And then I was like, well, we need some money. So I was approached by actually one of my old colleagues. She had a whole bunch of little neighborhood blogs and needed help with marketing. So I created my own marketing company and sold advertisements from home on these little blogs. And it kind of built and built. And then I built a team under me. And it was great. It was great to stay home with the kids. Obviously, I was at my computer a lot, but I was home, which is really great. And then something happened when they left for school for 8 hours a day. It was so exciting. Lots of people cry, but I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Fantastic.
Shed a couple tears, but I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Got over it quick. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I got over it quick and thought, okay, what do I want to do next? And I felt like this energy, and I knew I had to do something different. And I had always wanted to do real estate. When I was younger, I remember selling our family house and how much fun that was. I thought from an outsider, like, oh, this is great. So easy. Just open up the doors and see all these fabulous houses, and it's just going to be not a cakewalk, but like, yeah, I can totally do this. So I decided on a whim just to sign up to get my license. Just did it one day and was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I have no idea if I'm going to actually do this for a career, but we'll see. Got the license. And at the time, we needed some money. We were, a young family living in a really nice neighborhood in Seattle, but definitely we were paycheck to paycheck. And so I was like, okay, this is the transition. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do this, which was a little scary. So I started and didn't sell one thing for close to 7 months. And I was really regretting my decision. I was like, oh boy,
And I'm sure like doing all the things that you knew you were supposed to do, but
all the things.
Planting seeds, but nothing was.
All the things that had worked in the past. Doing open houses, like it was going out of style. I was doing 4 weekend. I was exhausted and, but pounding the pavement. I'm like, I'm going to do this. This is going to work for me. And I really had I had like a panic 6 months in, and I started applying for other jobs.
Of course.
And I did. I was like, you know what? I can't take this risk. This is not responsible for me. I need to get a job that I'm going to make some money. So I applied to do some marketing at a local Catholic high school. I got hired. It was going to be a fabulous job. It was steady pay. I would have gotten a discount if my kids had gone there. I mean, it on paper made total sense. But on the side, I was still hustling, going, okay, I'm not giving up quite yet, but I'm not giving up. And then I got my first deal. And right before I was going to sign this
offer
contract, and I thought, oh my gosh, do I like bet on myself? Do I do it? And it was not a decision that I normally probably would have made because I'm pretty safe. And I just said, I'm not going to sign it. I think this is going to work. And then from then on, I never stopped selling. So it took a little longer than I thought.
Well, and it usually can take much longer, upwards of 2 years for for that really to start to turn around. It's funny because what I heard from your story so far was that you're really an entrepreneur. You were putting stuff together on your own, like getting out of the box and doing stuff. And that all takes a certain amount of confidence. And it's risky, even though we're like, oh my God, let me go get a job. This is crazy. But it still was that belief that you could do it. And, so let me ask you, tell me about a mentor or someone that believed in you during that time period, or someone that you saw. It doesn't have to be in real estate, but just like that gave you that confidence and that ability to just keep trying no matter what.
Hmm. Honestly, my husband was like, "What are you doing getting a job?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I have to be responsible here." And he's like, "You have had this for 6 months. Do it. Don't give up." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know. I don't know." And so he was one first and foremost, my biggest supporter. And then I did have a phenomenal designated broker that I came to, and I was in tears. I was like, "I don't understand what I'm doing wrong." He's like, "You're not doing anything wrong. You just need to trust the process."
Yeah.
And so I knew that. I knew that, but this job can be very lonely. It can be really isolating. And the other thing that was very, very, very helpful at the time was that there was a group of us, about 5 of us, that had started all at the same time in this office.
Okay.
And we were all pounding the pavement. And we were all kind of looking at each other like, "Okay, what are you selling? How are you doing this?" So, like, "What? You got a sale? Awesome." And then all of a sudden, instead of being competitors, we've just kind of came together and was like, it was very natural. We're going to help each other out.
Nice.
And we became this like complete cheerleading squad for each other. And that sounds super cheesy, but that was really what it was, because I miss camaraderie in an office. And I realized that real estate's phenomenal in so many ways, but camaraderie is something I think you absolutely have to seek out because it is not natural. This is an in it for yourself type of business, or at least it appears to on the outside. And that's not necessarily how I have chosen to operate. And I think that is actually pivotal in success.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And actually I really rarely talk about it, but that's one of the things I love about EXP, that the way that it's built, I do better if someone who's on my team does better. That's
Totally.
just the way it works, right? Because I benefit financially. And even if I don't, the company benefits financially, and we're all shareholders. So there's that real refocus from grabbing something on the printer and running back to your desk, because you don't want anyone else to see what you were working on, versus this energy of like, how can I help you? What can I'm the generosity of sharing, and the collaboration is beyond. And that's what I heard what in your story just now, that you all decided to collaborate instead of to compete. And that's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah. And we're not, and it's funny because we are on and yes, there's like financial teams, which are phenomenal. And we are not tied to each other's financial success. But I quickly realized that cheering somebody on
Mhm.
and hoping for their success doesn't take away from mine. And as cliche as that sounds, it is absolutely true that the energy you put out is the energy you receive. And so um I have never lost in that philosophy by helping people out. That doesn't take away from the clients I'm going to get. It just doesn't, because there's enough for everybody. Um, we are a dime a dozen. I've always said that. There is an agent around every corner. But luckily, there's a big world out there and there's enough for everybody. And you're not going to be the person for everybody. You're just not, even if you're the best agent in the entire world. So it's okay. It's okay to celebrate other people's successes because it's not going to take away from your own.
Yeah, I love that. And I think some people learn that at different times in their lives. Are we always looking to see what we can get for ourselves and be protective, and that scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, right? Which is exactly
Yeah,
kind of,
100%.
exactly what you're talking about. You were talking about the designated broker as well as your husband. Can you tell me a little bit about what gifts they gave you that really kind of helped propel you along to keep your spirits up and to keep going?
Well, I mean, my husband's my biggest cheerleader. He always has been. And he's like, "This is what this is a perfect fit for you. So why are you giving up on you never give up. So why are you giving up now?" And I think, honestly, financially, we were in a situation where I was like, "Oh gosh, I have 2 kids in a private school. I just, I'm also very responsible and I'm a rule follower." And so to go against that felt super
Scary.
weird and scary. But I don't really give up that easily. And so I thought about it. And then when I had that first sale, I was like, oh, I see it. I see it. And that was literally enough. And it wasn't a very big sale. It was a small sale. And I hadn't hit my split. So it was a really small sale. But it gave me enough. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. All right. Just be patient. You've got this. And so that was helpful. And my managing broker was amazing. He was just phenomenal. He's like, look, I moved here and I didn't know a soul when I moved here 5 years ago. I mean, he hadn't actually been doing it even that long. And he's like, you can do this. Like I did it, you can do it. You know a ton of people. Come on. And so it just took somebody to kind of just pull me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, it's having someone see something in you that you can't yet see in yourself, and I suspect that you offer that to others now as well, for sure. That's an
Mhm.
important piece of how we can give back. I certainly try to do that. So tell me, through that first, year or two, or maybe more recently, about something that happened, a challenge or a lesson that you kind of learned the hard way that has allowed you to walk in a different way today, maybe care more deeply for your clients or love more deeply in your family, but just tell me about some kind of lesson that you feel like you learned the hard way that has changed you.
The hard way. Yeah. Well, I had one client, and this was one of when I was a couple of years in, and it was a luxury listing. And I had definitely known what it was supposed to be priced at. I communicated it to them. I knew from the beginning what it should have been. I thought I did it very clearly, but I'm also, tend to be sometimes a people pleaser. And so when the client was very strong in their opinion about what their house was worth,
Can I
um,
can I guess that it was a little higher than what you thought?
oh yeah, a little higher, a little
That never
I
fails.
said, gosh, I would love if that was right. I would
Yeah,
love if that was right.
yeah.
I want it to be right. I don't think it is. And there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of pushback. And it was one of my first luxury listings. And so I thought, okay,
All right.
look, we can go on at this price and we'll see where it takes us. Well, it took us where I thought it was going to take us, which was not selling. And they were angry. They were upset. They were angry. And it was actually not something I had been used to receiving. And so
Mhm.
I like personally was really hurt by it. And I'm sensitive. We are people. And they were very mad at me. What are we doing wrong here? This is not selling. And in that moment, I actually, again, I called my designated broker and said, I want to quit. And he said, no. I go, oh no, I want to quit this listing. And he said, no, 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 you're not going to do that. And I said, well, I feel like this is an uphill battle. It definitely was an uphill battle. And he said, nope, you're going to get brave and you're going to tell them why you feel the way you feel. And I did. And they went in a different direction. And I was devastated. But you know what? At the end of the day, I learned so, so much about that. So much about that. And in this business, you want to be compassionate. You also want to be on their side, but being on their side doesn't always mean telling them exactly what they want to hear. And so I think I've gotten better at that. That didn't come naturally to me at first. And that's a big skill in this job. It's a big skill to do it in a compassionate, kind way, but also to realize that telling somebody what they want to hear isn't going to end well for them and it's not going to end well for you. So that was a big lesson. And it was a hit to my ego. I thought, oh my gosh, like they chose somebody else. And in the end, it was a huge gift that they chose somebody else. Huge gift. And that's okay. Like I wish them well. I do not have ill will towards that. That was a lesson that we learn here. And you got to you are sensitive. I am sensitive, but you also have to separate business
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have to be
Yeah.
a big kid. And I was like, okay, this is a big girl moment. This is a moment where you feel personally hurt and it's not personal. Like, what can we learn from this? How can we become um, better from this experience?
Yeah. And I suspect you also learned that it's okay to recognize that you're not a great fit with certain clients. And the earlier, yes, in the
Absolutely.
earlier part of our careers, or even in life with partners or with different like volunteer experiences I've had, there are times when someone will ask you to do something and you want to say yes because there's part of you that's a people pleaser, but you really know it's not in alignment with, what you're doing or your time availability or, so many things. And learning to say no and when to say no and when to say God bless you, go in peace to someone. Which is something that you learn to say, and you have to, right? We don't have to work with people that are not a good fit for us for whatever reason.
Oh, and I never, it's like, you have that mentality still of like, we
Uh,
can't say no to anything.
yeah.
And I think as I've gotten more experience in this business after almost 9 years, that's okay to say no. Yeah, you're right. It's okay. It's okay. I may not be a fit for you, and you actually may not be a fit for me. And
Absolutely.
again, that's completely okay because you're going to be better served somewhere else. Again, there's a million of us out there for a reason. For a reason, we're not all me, we're not all you. We all offer different skills. And what I tell my clients when I meet them for the first time or potential clients is that interview a lot of people or interview several at least and see who you feel comfortable with because this is a really intimate process.
Yeah. And there's a
And
couple of
if
months where we're going to be inseparable.
yeah. And we're going to be each other's therapists. And, it goes so much, it's not all transactional. Really, actually, the transactional part of it's very small. So if you don't feel comfortable with me or whomever you're interviewing with, it's going to be a painful process for both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really translates outside of our profession for sure.
Oh, definitely.
So share with me, do you have a daily practice or a mantra or kind of a something that you do every morning that really helps anchor you in general, or certainly anchor you when things get a little more chaotic? Tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
Well, it's funny because, as you know, probably in this job, I feel like it's either, oh my gosh, I don't even have 1 second to breathe, or I'm like, uh-oh, twiddling my thumbs.
Where's the
I have,
pump light? Yeah,
I
where's
have
the
five
red light?
minutes. Oh no. Oh no. And so I've tried to get out of that
Mm.
mentality because it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So typically, I've realized with my brain that mornings are the best time for me. I think you just have to know how you work. But my best hours are, the 8 a.m. to noon hours that I can really get all my to dos done. Now that kids are back in school, that's a little easier.
How old are they now?
What?
How old are they now?
Oh, they are 15 and 17. So
Ooh, girl, you're in the middle of it.
teen time.
Ooh,
Right.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
Right.
What a time. What a
It
time
is
to
actually
go.
great. It's so fun and
Yeah,
exhausting
good for
as
you.
as parenthood is. But yeah, I realized that. And so that is kind of my key time. But I've also realized, and this really is a conscious effort to protect your space when you're given it. And so I have a habit of, oh my gosh, if I don't have an open house this weekend, like, ooh, I'm not working. And honestly, I had been in that mentality so long that I've just recently been able to say it's okay to have space and it's okay to have a life. And I need to protect my peace when I actually am able to have it. And that to me is so important because it's like in a tennis match. You're constantly, you're like, go, 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 go. And then when it's the other person's turn to serve, it's like, okay, breathe. And you have to learn to breathe in those moments. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it really is true for me who likes to do lots of things and has lots of energy. To learn to regain that energy by having that space is sort of hard when you're your own boss. And I think it has to be learned.
Yeah, well, prioritizing self-care, which I think is what you're saying, is
Yeah,
definitely something that when you're in the thick of it, unless you've had good examples of that, it feels selfish
it does.
and it couldn't be further from the truth. There's some point in life, especially women, where, and I hope you will discover it or have discovered it earlier than later, when we really, really believe that we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first.
Definitely.
If we don't, we are not available for anyone else. And that's a lesson that some people come to quite naturally and others don't forever. They're just always dealing with others, and they're never really, they don't realize how much more life could be joyful if they were able to take that time for themselves first so that they can share more of themselves with their loved ones and with others,
Right.
clients and whoever else. So I'm glad to hear that you're taking some time, whether it's on the weekends or now that the kids are back in school. I'm sure that there's that same feeling of many years ago when they first went like, ooh, what now? Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, no, good for you. And it also opens us up to maybe pursue some other things. You talked about photography, and I don't know how many of those passions you're able to actively pursue, but I hope you are able to actively pursue some of those, especially now that the kids are back in
Yeah.
school.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I guess what I would say now is, as we're going to kind of, wrap up our time together, we've been together for a little bit of time. There's two things I want to ask you about. One would be, can you share with me, with our listeners, with all of us, a piece of advice that you were given, not necessarily in real estate, but just kind of in life that has really served you, that you think about quite often, that you reflect on?
So, my grandfather was amazing, and he served in World War II. He had a Purple Heart. He was a grocer for his whole life. After serving, he was a grocer in a little grocery store. And my mom and family, they didn't have very much money, but they had great food. So that says something. And he always said to her, and he always said to us, it actually costs nothing to be nice to people. And it's
Mhm.
super, super simple. But that has always resonated with me, that it literally costs nothing to be nice. And so, as cheesy as that sounds, that is something that actually totally has resonated with me in my life. And of course, am I always nice? No. But I do really think that is such a good lesson, because, and that's what I've told my kids too, is like, just be nice. Just be nice. It's so much easier in life to
Mhm,
be nice to
mhm,
people.
mhm,
And
mhm,
it comes back to you. So, yes, of course, in real estate, sure, that's super helpful. But in life in general, you don't really know what anyone else is going through.
and
So
that's for
give them the
sure.
benefit of the doubt. Am I always nice? No, I'm not always nice. I try to be. I try to be nice. And it's very simplistic, but I think it's such a great piece of advice in this industry and just in life. There's a lot of people out there that are so cynical and things are so bad. And yeah, sometimes they are, but that's what's resonated with me. And
Yeah,
so I think he was a pretty smart man.
he was. I just love that so much because I think the more we start to think about all those things in the world that are just so, challenging, I keep coming back and my teachers keep coming back to remind me that I can only make a difference in my life. And so the energy that I'm putting out, the things that I'm doing, this podcast, just trying to be a source of inspiration, but also just to be kind and to be grateful and to embody those things versus freaking out about, whatever situation might happen. You only have 24 hours in a day and you get to choose what you're going to do with them, so being kind and being nice, I think is a great thing and a great piece of advice. Thank you. So I do have one question that I always love to ask most of my guests, and that is, can you share with us one of the most amazing compliments you've ever received and why it was such an inspiration to you?
Oh, that's a good question. And it's not often asked. At least I haven't heard it asked. I think I had a review done recently, and it was good reviews always make you feel so good. It's such a confidence boost. But one of my clients said working with Jenni was like working with your best friend.
Oh.
And it made me feel so good. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a wonderful compliment. So you can't always be best friends with everybody, but I totally thought, oh my gosh, I was blown away by that. And it just resonated with me. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that.
Well,
With all the
what does
negative things you
what does
hear in your
that
life, I'm
mean?
never going to forget that one.
Yeah,
So,
what does that best friend piece mean? Like, tell me, like, tease that out a little bit. Like, what are those elements? that you feel she was trying to
Well,
express?
I like to develop a rapport with my clients. And of course, some people are more business transactional like, and that is totally okay. But if I have clients that I somehow attract, usually, that want to share with me all their exciting things about their life, they're having a new baby, they're getting married, I become so excited. And we'll start soon texting, like, okay, this house is also this, blah, blah, blah. And oh my gosh, by the way, like, how did the engagement pictures go? Oh my gosh, like send me some. And so maybe I'm crossing like lines. I don't know, but it ends up happening all the time with me. And so they become like really do become good friends of mine. Also, I tend to sell around my neighborhood. So we'll go on walks together. We'll start, having lunch together, coffee, whatever. And of course, that doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's such a bonus. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's wonderful. And there are no rules. We don't have an HR department that's telling us, I mean,
no,
obvious things, of
well,
course, but for the most part, you can develop whatever, and isn't that part of who you are? That you're
yeah,
seeking that connection, that you want to be able to be that not just the trusted advisor, but you also want to have a couple laughs and you want to share some
oh,
fun stuff and share some light stuff and celebrate with them. And that's what I heard too. It's that willingness and ability and desire to share in their celebration and to help celebrate them. And that's a beautiful thing. So, well, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing that with us. I'm sure our listeners will really enjoy that. And when I wrap up, I like to think about some of the things that you've given us to think about in this episode, and certainly, the kindness and just being nice, but also celebrating. You talked about that from the beginning, that it doesn't take away from your own success to celebrate the success of another. So that came through really loud and clear in this interview and in this podcast. Again, I know our listeners will really enjoy it. So thank you so much, Jenny, for taking the time
Thank you
to
so
discuss it
much for
today.
having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today for another amazing episode of Lifting Others as We Rise. My guest, Jenny, was just an absolute pleasure to have on. She talked a lot, her woven through her story was really a lot about not just collaboration, but about how important it is to celebrate other people's success. And that in doing that, you don't diminish your own success. It just kind of, continues to ripple out. And I just love that message. She talked about the collaboration, as I mentioned, versus competition, and also having mentors that helped her understand to trust the process and to believe in yourself. And I think that really shone through. And of course, the great piece of advice about just be nice. Isn't that wonderful? And wouldn't it be a very different world if everyone woke up every morning and thought, you know what? The only thing on my to-do list today is to be nice. I just love that. So thank you so much. I hope you will calendar some time to consider what you might do and how you might integrate some of these ideas and thoughts into your day. And maybe one of these can be a catalyst for change for you. If you enjoyed today's insights and the conversation, please be sure to subscribe, rate, leave us a review, comment. I love to see anything like that, and your feedback does matter. Until the next episode, keep the positivity flowing. And remember, when we make an effort to lift others up with intention, we all rise together. This is Lisa Parenteau signing off from Lifting Others as We Rise podcast. Take good care, and thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for joining us on another amazing episode of Lifting Others as We Rise. I hope you make sure to follow through on today's catalyst for change. If you enjoyed today's insights, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You know your feedback really does matter. Stay connected for more uplifting conversations, because remember, when we lift others up, we all rise together. So until the next episode, keep the positivity flowing and keep lifting up others around you. This is Lisa Parenteau signing off from Lifting Others as We Rise. Take good care.